You did everything right. You planned ahead. You told yourself you're going to pace the work so that you weren't cramming everything at the end. So then why does everything still feel so exhausting? If you're tired, even though you've been taking it slow, this matters. You're not exhausted because the work is hard. You're exhausted because of how the work is being done. Spreading setup across weeks seems responsible, but what it's really doing is creating a quiet. Every time you reopen finished work, you pay a tax every time that you need to get back into the context of it. You have to remember where you left off, what still needs to be connected, and what still needs to be finished. And that cost adds up much faster than you tend to realize. Most hosts don't stretch out the setup because they are trying to avoid it. A lot of the times they're doing it because they think they're being thoughtful. They don't want to feel frantic. They don't want to feel like they're burning out. They don't want their event to take over their entire lives. So they tell themselves, I'll just chip away at this when I can. Or I don't need to rush. Or at least I'm being sustainable with my energy. And on the surface, that does sound reasonable. But here's the reality. Slow setup feels safe, but it doesn't actually protect your energy. It just spreads it out so that you're carrying that weight for a longer period of time. And that's why you can look at your week and be like, I didn't even really do that much, but I'm feeling so tired. And so a lot of the times what you haven't been shown is this. Setup uses more energy when it's fragmented instead of being focused. Every time you sit down to work at the event or work on the event, your brain has to reorient. You have to remember, where was I in this process? What's already connected? What decision did I make last time? Entry takes effort. So if you're opening that platform up 3 or 4 times in the same week, even for short sessions, you're paying a re-entry fee every single time. You're spending energy just getting back into the work before you've even actually started doing any work. And that's why it feels so draining, not because you're doing too much, but because you're having to repeat yourself constantly. And if that's landing with you, I want you to realize that you don't have to figure this out on your own. I have a free event systems ROI audit that helps you see where your energy and capacity are being drained by unfinished systems. It's simply a way for you to see where the strain is coming from so that you're not second guessing or carrying it all mentally. If you'd like to learn more, you can find the link down in the description. There's another effect of a stretched out setup that is often missed as well. When the setup is never finished, it never feels fully settled in your mind. It stays mentally active. Registration isn't live yet. Emails aren't fully built. Pages aren't connected yet. So even while you're doing other work, your attention is still somewhat on all those missing pieces that are still incomplete. And that's why your rest doesn't feel restful and your plan doesn't feel fully clean. You're always circling the same task, making little checks of progress, but never fully checking it off the list. And over time, that creates doubt. You start questioning your timeline. You hesitate to promote. You feel less confident talking about the event, not because it wasn't a good idea, but because the infrastructure isn't in place that makes it feel real. And this is where the reframe happens. Focus effort is not the opposite of sustainability. Fragmentation is. When setup is complete in a contained window, when it actually gets finished, that mental drag disappears. You're no longer reopening the same decisions. You're no longer needing to reload what was the context. You're no longer carrying unfinished work in the background. And that's when your planning starts to feel lighter. Not because there's less to do, but because the foundation, and this is when you begin to realize I wasn't protecting my energy, I was leaking it. And once setup is done, something subtle but important shifts. You move differently. You communicate more confidently. You promote without hesitation. You stop second guessing details that were never meant to stay open this long. Your leadership feels steadier because your back end is no longer demanding attention. You're no longer managing from unfinished work, but you're leading from something complete. And if this helped you understand while taking it slow, that hasn't really, then the next part is important. Because what often feels complex really isn't as complex as you think it is. What it is unfinished work masquerading as something else. Go ahead and click the video on your screen right now, where we're going to talk about why things aren't as complicated as you think it is. And if you want more conversations like this, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next video.